there, guys. Welcome back to another episode of E&Ftv. Today, I have the very, very big pleasure of having a good friend of mine, Susanne Williams, who is the Director of Consulting Services at Journey Hospitality. Susanne, thank you so much for joining us today.
You are very welcome. Looking forward to it.
I was going to say, that's the last time I'm going to call you Susanne on this. I'm going to call you Susie from now. But yeah, thank you so much for coming back on. I know that you and I have been back and forth over the last, I want to say months now, to get you on. But I know my diary has been pretty crazy. Yours has been pretty crazy. So I'm so glad that we were able to get this done. With so much going on at Journey, I'm really keen to actually kick this off with finding out a lot about what's going on with you guys. Of course, since you were last on the show, because it's been a little while now. And I know that I keep seeing stuff on my LinkedIn ream and everything else. So tell us all the exciting stuff that's going on at Journey at the moment. What's happened since you were last on, and any new partnerships, developments, all this exciting stuff. Tell us all about it.
Sure. There's been a lot happening, so I'm going to try and keep it quite concise.
Yeah.
I think the thing that I would say is happening at Journey, or has happened, is there's been a massive evolution. Now, we knew that evolution was coming, and there was a lot of chat in our last session about One Journey and our booking platform, etc.
Sure.
But I think that's now really started to be realised. I think Journey was really known for being a great marketing agency that did really great digital programs and beautiful websites. What it's evolved into is still the beautiful websites and the really forensic digital programs, but taking that one step further into being an e-commerce and technology company.
Yeah.
Now, if you think about the power of that, you know, for a hotel or a small group or a brand, Journey now are that end-to-end solution. We can do your branding, your website, your digital performance, but leading right into that conversion, because that is what it's all about. It's about making money, which is why I'm back in Journey. So that's what hoteliers want ultimately.
Of course.
So I have always been quite excited about One Journey, and I'm even more so now, because the evolution of the platform, it's just gone from strength to strength. It's over 700 modules in various different hotels, including brands across the UK and the world. And we're really starting to see some great stats. You know, 26% reduction in call volume. And when the hospitality is really challenged for staff, that's what you want to hear. A lot of the basket value, that transactional value, happens between 8 p.m. at night and 8 o'clock in the morning. So if you don't have a really good booking system, then you're losing that revenue. And when I talk about really good booking systems, I'm talking about the full experience.
Yeah.
How many hotels actually can you go onto their website and book the full experience in a luxury property? Well, you can't. You know, that's the short answer. So One Journey is very much about the beautiful websites and the forensic digital programs, but leading into beautiful landing pages, converting sites, converted traffic. But book your room, choose which restaurant you want to stay, browse the menus, book multiple tables, go through the spa experience, choose your treatments, what spa experiences you want. Retail, do you want a bathrobe or, you know, any products, add them to your basket and check out. One seamless experience. It just doesn't happen on any other booking engine.
No. So, that I remember getting, it definitely would have been with you, but I remember getting a sneak peek at One Journey, and the whole, the experience from a customer perspective, it was the ease of use. But the thing that the thing that I got from it actually was how intuitive it was. You just knew, you know, you just knew that that's what I was supposed to do. And it didn't, because you go on to loads of different websites, and obviously we've both done this where we've booked a hotel direct with a website, and it at times it is tiresome, because you've got to go to one place, and then you're like, have I done that right? Oh, hold on, no, I need to go back. And can I do this? No, I can't. Right, okay. And then inevitably 9 times out of 10, if you want to do anything extra, you have to call the hotel.
100%.
And you just think, in today's age, with the capabilities of so many other, I suppose, industries in terms of their customer experience, it just baffled me. And then obviously when One Journey came along, it just made sense. And I know how excited you were about it, but yeah, it just made so much sense.
Yeah, I think that one of the things that's really helped power it is we had some significant investment, which I think any tech business actually needs. So that's really helped power the development of Journey, and there's a lot of exciting things in the pipeline.
Sure.
You may or may not know, but Journey Hospitality bought Premier software.
Yeah.
So that's now part of the Journey Hospitality family, and the plans to really modernise that and make it a really good user experience. And really think about, the users of that platform in terms of their certification, their understanding, they're really championing what's going on in the spa industry. That's another big exploration for Journey. And we've got such a brilliant team that sit behind it. And I have to say, the Premier team just merging in with Journey has been an absolute joy. They are brilliant. Yeah, they're based up in Cannock, and we've really Journey's culture has always been good. That's really bringing the Premier team into it. It's just really brought a different dimension to Journey. So it's really, really exciting times. Obviously,
amazing.
We've launched a consulting division, which I'm leading.
Of course, yeah. Exciting times for you and your team.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting one, actually, because when I left Journey, it was very much about I wanted more exposure to big brands. In reality, Journey deal with beautiful luxury properties. We're now working with, Ennismore, luxury family hotels, etc. But when I went across to Alliance, which was just a brilliant experience, I'm looking at Four Seasons, Mandarin Oriental, etc. Soho House. I worked on some amazing projects there, and I loved it. But it was just 10 to 20% more tech than I was prepared to sacrifice.
Yeah, you're a hospitality girl through and through, I know.
That's it. It really is. So bringing that experience back to Journey and really looking at, okay, what can I bring to the party?
Yeah.
It was an easy decision, actually. Let's bring some real commercial nous, coupled with that, big brand experience now and the technology, then we can offer services to the agency and my own consulting clients. So that's what I did. And I think the biggest contract I've just finished, and this was actually quite a step for me, because I, like you just said, being hospitality first and so really in the detail of everything and really driving success for our hotels. I guess taking a step out with that and looking at driving much, much bigger revenue targets and a much, much bigger team, and sitting as a chief commercial officer for a big UK hotel brand. Now, I loved it, and it really was my absolute space. It was also a big learning curve, actually.
Yeah.
So that all everything just happened at the right time, I think.
Sure.
That's, I think, the general feeling at Journey at the moment, that we're on a trajectory, and I am glad to be a part of it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, something that we discussed just before we did press record, for complete transparency, everybody. One of the biggest differences that we identified was that there are a lot of tech companies out there, and they're making a lot of big movements, a lot of developments, and they are driving the industry in positive ways, unbelievably so. But there is an argument to say, where's the human element? And I suppose that was something we identified there with Journey, is how you guys are different with what you do with your tech solution, is that you do have that bridging of a gap, if you like, with somebody like yourself that is so hospitality driven. And I suppose there is an argument there, or I suppose a question for you is, do you believe that there needs to be more of a hospitality presence within the tech space? And if so, why do you think that?
It's a good question, and I know we talked about it briefly. I think that technology is playing a massively important role, and almost every panel talk or keynote speech you hear is about how lagging the hospitality industry has been in adopting technology. I think the reality is e-commerce has always been way ahead of where hospitality sits, for a lot of different reasons. We have to recognise that hospitality is complex. There are multiple systems and platforms and multiple integrations that are needed. So when you have technology companies providing what they think is a solution to a problem, it's very one-dimensional. It touches on one aspect of the whole tech ecosystem and the whole experience problem, and doesn't cover some of the integral parts, which is that booking experience, that seamless booking experience, which hospitality haven't been able to solve because it's complicated.
Sure.
So that's, I think that technology companies are right to champion their development and their innovation, but I do think there should be a bigger voice actually sitting on some of these panels and talking about what the real challenges are within hospitality, operationally and strategically. Now, so I think that I'd like, let's see, you know, revenue managers and general managers on these panels presenting my challenge today is, and this is how I see technology helping to solve it, and this is how I think we should move it forward. I'd like to see it a bit more broad.
I was going to say, because I can imagine, because again, the reason I asked that question is I did attend a tech sort of roundtable event very recently, and one of the points that a hotelier in the room actually made. So this gentleman was a hotelier through and through, was not coming from the tech space, and his sort of point in the roundtable was that we're solving problems that aren't necessarily the core pain points that broadly the hoteliers are experiencing. We're trying to get to a point where a lot of us, and this is sort of him saying this, that we want to get to that stage of being more tech savvy. We want to implement more tech to enable us to have that seamless process from the absolute front end with the customer experience to the back end. But I don't feel as confident that all of this tech space is hearing what we're saying. And I sort of pushed back and sort of said, look, does that mean, are there situations where tech are only bringing in hospitality leaders or hoteliers anyway, and just having these forums? Because I know that tech usually do bring in, you know, people at the, you know, I always talk to hoteliers or revenue leaders anyway, and they roll their eyes when they hear that the sort of tech guys are going to do some sort of dinner, because they know at some point there's going to be a 40-minute pitch. But what I think there's an argument there to say, well, why not? I mean, the tech space have enough money to do this. Why not create roundtable events where you're just getting thought leaders in the hospitality space and listen to exactly what they've got to say? Don't pitch them anything. Don't try and shove something down the throats or anything. Just listen. Go away, develop. You know what I mean? Like, is that something that actually happens? Because I've not seen it or heard of it. That's all.
I think that one of the biggest shifts that we kind of touched on was the changes that have happened in the marketplace since 2020.
Yeah.
Now, I think the things have evolved very quickly, but the overarching kind of dominance of these tech conversations, I think, are very much coupled by the shift in hotel investment, hotel management, and who operates these businesses. And actually what it comes down to is, does your asset make more money? And if so, how do you make that happen? So before 2020, yes, that still happened, but I think it's much more front and center now. Certainly, a lot of the conversations I have are no longer with general managers. They're with owners, investors, and asset managers, and solving the problems that they have in order to support the hotel and its profitability. There's been quite a shift, and I think it's actually from a technology perspective. When you're, you know, crowdfunding or you've got seed investment, then you've got to deliver that return on investment, and I think a lot of it comes from there. It's about driving the sales of your product and hitting those targets for said investors. There's arguments for and against that. One about the relationships and partnerships you have with your businesses, and also the profitability and the human aspect of it. So I think it's complicated. And
it looks like it probably will be for some time to come, unfortunately, but we'll get there, right? Like other industries have. We'll get there.
I think hospitality is interesting because, one, the asset value of the actual building, you know, the property value, you know, the rate of return, and how profitable they can be when they're run well. You know, it's multiple businesses under one roof, and another reason for setting up the consultancy journey really is about supporting that process, really identifying how you can maximise your revenue and the opportunities, coupled with how technology helps you to do that, because we don't just talk about one journey from a consulting perspective. We'll also look at full tech stacks. You know, Simon Key, who's like my work husband, who came over from Alliance, actually, he will draft out the swim lanes and put the structures together and all the integrations, etc. And we have such a lot of fun with this.
Yeah.
But I'm the challenger.
Yes.
I'm saying, no, that's you know, what do you do with that and why do you need so we've got a really great relationship where it's very really energetic and challenging, because hospitality first.
And between you and your work husband, who's usually right?
No, it's me every time.
I don't know that. Shout out to Simon if you've got something to say about that in the comments below. So coming on to I suppose a slightly different point, and it's something that you and I have spoken about in the past, and it's something that actually you and I have sort of, I suppose, I wouldn't say I've championed it, but I've certainly tried to do my part at times. And what I'm sort of going down the route of is what do you think the opportunities are within the hospitality industry anyway to create or be part of a truly supportive tribe? Because again, you're actually the one that I think put this thought process in my head. And the reason I say that is because up until mid 2020, I felt like I was very much an external entity of hospitality working inwards. Whereas now, because of you and a number of other people during that difficult time, I feel like I'm more part of the furniture. I'm part of the industry, and I'm doing my part, but I'm also part of a really strong, supportive tribe of people.
Yeah.
And I suppose that's obviously something that's really important to you, because you introduced me to that idea, I suppose, or that way of thinking. So what are your thoughts on that? Because again, I'm not really one to speak on it because I'm still learning, I suppose, of being part of that.
I think actually, you know, developing that idea, I think you've been quite central to it with the various activities that you put on. I think it's really good. I guess one of the things for me, especially through 2020 and just building all those connections, I think before we were also heads down, bums up and getting our work done.
Yeah.
And then 2020, and then a recognition that actually, you know, hospitality is a huge network of people and everyone knows everyone. And there's also a hugely supportive network that you don't always tap into and extract out what you genuinely need. So yes, I think we did build a fabulous tribe of people, and then you championed that with your roundtables, and that I think really helps. The communication helps. You know, I've got a WhatsApp group that's all, you know, all tribe in there, and it's a less formal kind of who needs what. Even clients, actually, there's clients in that. So it breaks down some of those barriers. But I guess when it comes to how you build that tribe in hospitality, and how someone who's young, and do you remember the Clubhouse days?
Yeah.
The Wednesday, I'm talking to what happened to Clubhouse, etc. Well, actually, you know, hospitality, there's still a massive opportunity to get in at a fairly junior level and progress. And work and learning and dedication can still get you there. And I'm kind of talking about, you know, when you haven't gone to university, or you maybe don't have the best home life, or you're not quite sure what to do, you know, that opportunity is there. And I guess for me, one of my things at the moment is about being far more open, because everybody knows me for being so direct and get the job, get the results, and you know, and it's true, isn't it? It's like, so, you know, if you want it done, you know, I'll get it done. But nobody really
talk to Susie.
People don't really know what the drive behind that is. I guess for me, getting into hospitality when I was 20, you know, I was a receptionist, you know, and I did some restaurant work and literally worked in every single area of hospitality, and decided, you know, when I was stood, actually, this is a funny story, at the restaurant doors, hosting the restaurant service one evening, I was 20.
Right.
this was what, 1994. No technology existed then. I had a sheet and all the table plan was wrong, all wrong.
Right.
And it was a catastrophe because all the guests had all the pre-orders done and they were all sat at the wrong tables, and there was 60 guests all expecting to be fed. So it was and I just made the decision then, I'm going to be a GM, and I'll be a GM by the time I'm 26.
Right.
You know, that's my mission. You know, and as soon as it was that drive right at that moment that led me to be a GM when I was 26, you know, running a little hotel in London. Now, the support that I received up to that point, you know, the people that I worked for were hugely supportive, really encouraging, and really taught me everything I needed to know. Right. And I think that that's where the hospitality tribe part comes from. It's about widening that tribe, supporting young people coming up through the industry, and really championing what is an absolutely wonderful industry. And it's family because, you know, that when I was 20, I lived in, you know, it was in the district, and, you know, all my friends were from Australia, New Zealand, and South Africa, and I had this whole, you know, global network of friends, and that's continued. So culturally, you know, the learning, the friendship bonds are for life, and that ultimately can happen when you join hospitality as an industry.
Yeah, absolutely. That I have to, as I say, I have to admit, and I've said this multiple times on multiple platforms, that the business, I personally, but also the business, Edwards and Finn, would not exist without the people within the industry that have committed to us and supported us and done everything they could. Like if they weren't able to use us, they've still referred us to other people, or they've brought us into discussions or whatever it is. And you just feel that strong bond because they'll always check in on you. You know, you and I, you know, we check in on each other. We sort of, and it doesn't have to be about work. It can just be about life. And that's the thing that changed with me, as I say, during that 2020 period, because, you know, my business was only not even a year old when when COVID hit, and the way that people crowded around and sort of said, you know, I hope you're all right, mate. I can't imagine this is going to be easy, but you're going to get through it, blah, blah, blah. And it just sort of developed from there, and so I remember bouncing ideas off you that I wanted to do. And you should have probably invoiced me. but we bounced off each other quite a lot. I bounced ideas off you, and then again, there's a couple of others. Sally Richards was a big one for me, and Michael Hayward, and all the rest of it. Like, there's just been a lot of people in the industry that have just taken care of each other, and I think post that it sort of continued. And don't get me wrong, it's not as active or as in your face, but you know that it's still there.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is what you want, really.
And I think that's when we talk about the difference between, you know, that hospitality first and technology, actually.
Yeah.
You know, you know, adopting some of that. And I know that technology has it, but I think if it merged a little bit more with that hospitality first, you'd actually, you know, you'd be reaching goals far faster. You know, everything would be, the trajectory would be.
Yeah. So it would also feel, I imagine, I can't talk for them clearly, but I would imagine it would feel less transactional.
Yes.
For the hotelier, you know?
Yeah.
More of a support element. We're here to help. We want the industry to grow, because if the industry grows from a commercial perspective, it makes more sense for us. And rather than it being we have a product, do you want it? They say yes, and there you go. I think there's that transactional element, and that's the same in recruitment in a lot of ways. If you're not careful, recruitment can be a very straightforward, basic transactional process. You need a candidate, we'll find them, you pay us a fee, we'll see you next time. And it doesn't need to be, and it doesn't need to be for tech. So yeah, again, we hadn't spoken about this previously, but I think that makes a lot of sense from a transactional perspective. They could do so much more.
It's about, consultant speak coming in, it's about that value proposition, isn't it? It really is. I think one of the things about hospitality at the moment, and especially kind of luxury independent hotels, that what they have to very quickly get with the program in terms of what's going on from a technology perspective. You have to really know who you're designing for, who are your target audience, how are you communicating to them, what are the reasons for their them to stay with you, and what are you doing for that guest that draws them in and it shows, oh, I'm here for a celebration, or it's a weekend away, or whichever the reason for the stay is. Does your proposition align to that, and are you communicating it clearly enough, engagingly enough through all your channels at the right price point, of course, because you know me, foundation revenue, and that leads to higher conversion. So the value proposition and how hotels and technology companies and every other business, when they're really crystal clear about that and they are focused on that strategy, I think it changes everything.
Yeah. There you go, tech businesses. If you're watching, be less transactional, and you'll get so much further.
I think there's a lot of really good friendships and partnerships across tech and hospitality. You know, we see it all the time. We've all
absolutely.
I just think that in terms of the message that comes out from tech companies, solve a genuine problem, and let's hear what those genuine problems are from hoteliers as well.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Coming on to you guys now. So again, I know there's been a lot of development with Journey and partnerships, all sorts of things going on. Because again, if anyone looks on their LinkedIn feed, they'll usually see Journey on there somewhere. But what's coming? What's coming for the next 12, 18 months? What does the journey look like for Journey? Ah, there you go.
No, you know, the name Journey is just spot on, isn't it? Like, so One Journey is the absolute core of the business, and Simon's absolute mission really is about digital success for hospitality. So I think I touched on earlier, but one of the main questions I still asked is about how you shift that OTA business. You know, hotels are cheap with OTAs, booking.com, etc., and they are brilliant and geniuses at what they do. And you know, it's a love-hate relationship, right?
Of course it is. Yeah.
So Journey really are about championing that digital excellence, really showcasing and evolving One Journey as a platform. So, and developing Premier as a software platform to improve the experience, but being more visible. You know, I think Journey was quite visible through 2020, and then they went into the investment piece.
Yes.
And the branding and communications and everything are coming together now. And I think what we'll expect to see is far greater presence, more new features through One Journey, the constant evolution of the platform. There is some chat about retailing and hospitality, but the integrations and the technology that sits behind it doesn't really exist because it's too complicated. So I think that Journey will start to dominate that retailing space because we do have the integrations. I think there will be more integrations that sit there. And also we are really out and about just in terms of the awards that we're winning at the moment.
Of course, yeah.
I think we were shortlisted for a Katie for best use of technology for the Elms. The Elms also won the Hotel Marketing Association Award for Best Website. Then just this week, Journey won Best Innovation in Travel from the UK Business Awards. So these are things that really mean a lot to Journey.
Sure.
Because it's been an agency that's been, you know, it's gone from website design to this absolutely wonderful end-to-end solution for hospitality. And I think that Simon really deserves it. You
Absolutely.
know, it's his vision, and I think that there's a lot of good things to come.
No, amazing. Well, what we need to do is maybe diarize to get you back on, and maybe even get Simon on and talk about all the crazy stuff that's going on over the next year to come. But we'll leave that there for now. Susie, thank you so much, because again, I know how crazy busy you are at the moment. So thank you. And it's been great. I know that our audience is going to love to hear what we've been discussing today. And I think we've actually packed in quite a bit more than I originally thought we were going to. So no, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a real pleasure.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me on.
And we'll get you back on soon. Guys, thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode. We really hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. We're really trying to push it and trying to grow as much as we can. And that comes with the support from you guys. So we hope that you enjoyed it. Make sure you like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.